This is America. The greatest atrocity against mankind. American chattel slavery. If you traced your lineage, what would you find? Do you know where your roots lead to?
Grace and peace, Black family. This is Vicky Dillard, your sister with the curly braids. And I want you to get ready for the new Master Elements project, The Spear and the Shield.
This vaccine isn't experimental. It's like a dandelion. You overlooking for their weird science.
DJ RP Beats and Sincere Love the God have taken this time during the pandemic to carefully craft the soundtrack to Black empowerment with hot tracks like God Mind, featuring Sadat X of the legendary group Brand Nubians.
We never die. I made an ancestral shrine. Let's see what's in the God's mind. Listen, I'm a law in the person of sincere of the God. That mean your arms too short like Tar Anthony Shaw.
God painted me black.
God painted me black. Thanks for that. I'm a original man.
A letter to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing.
I say to the ancestors. Dear Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, I just wanted to thank you for all the lessons you left us. So yes, I'm more than grateful.
And the controversial song Buck Breaking God Today.
Why every black show they gotta have a transgender? Either I'm crazy or this gotta be a planned agenda.
Get ready, Black family. This is a much needed project. This is The Spear and the Shield.
There's an exercise where we could say this: rock star energy drink. Wow, I just put that in history. See how quick history come up right there. Rock star energy drink. Those who want to do the exercise, we're going to say rock star to ourselves without opening our mouths, without saying anything outside. We're going to say this to ourselves. We're going to say rock star to ourselves. Don't say it out loud at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now the question to ask, if you've said rock star in your mind, the question to ask is, what voice is that? What voice is that? What voice just spoke? You just said rock star without moving your mouth at all. On top of that, you on top of saying rock star, you heard yourself say rock star. How can you hear yourself say rock star and no vibration of sound has happened? See, this puts a different perspective on what sound actually is. And what memory is. Memory's not in the brain, memory's in the soul. The only thing you take with you after this life is your memories or your knowledge, your experiences. That's the only thing you take. Unless you study Egypt culture, they believe you can take all this stuff with you on the other side. Just as a side note. But if you said rock star in your mind or in your being is the true answer, is the true statement. In your being, what was that voice? What was the voice that spoke and then you heard yourself speaking? But these ears did not hear you say anything because your mouth didn't move. So the ears didn't hear it, the mouth did not move, but you spoke and you heard yourself speaking. If you close your eyes, you can see this better. If you close your eyes and put this image in another sight, if you close your eyes, you can still see this. What is the sight that can see your future? These two eyes don't see the future. These two eyes don't see the past, yet you can see your past and you can see your future. You can actually see your past. What is the sight that can see beyond time? Don't give it away. What is this? Is an ancient meditation. This is an ancient meditation that I am not the flesh. I am the energy, the consciousness, the being in the flesh. And this is proof. This is no faith. This is not religion. This is actual fact. You can speak without moving your mouth. You can hear without ears. You can see without eyes. So what happens when these eyes, this mouth, and this ear drops off into the grave? These other senses are all you're left with. Death is an illusion. Once you realize this, you live your life more courageously. Now, no one wants to die before their time, so you try to protect yourself. But know that this body is the limitation of you. It is not your zenith. It is not your ultimate. Your ultimate is that voice that just said rock star. That voice that just said rock star without nothing physical moving, that person is immortal. That person is not here with you. Let's go deeper. The body is in, 3 dimensions, right? Forward, back, right, left, up, down, and time. 4th dimension, 3 dimensions plus time. That's our physical reality. Front, back, right, left, up, down, that's 3D plus time. What happened to in and out? Look at the Easter, look at the English thought. Back, forth, right, left, up, down, no in and out. No in and out. What is in and out? Rock star. Rock star says, I exist without the body. So where is this other existence? Where is it? It's not here. It's not in 3-dimensional space where you really are. The person that said this is in a whole different dimension. Just switch a little bit. Talk to yourself more.
Hey. Do for self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious. So I move. All right, family, we are back. We are back in the digital building. And you know, when we start to show off like that, it's about to get real heavy up in here. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of SincereluvdagodCast. I am the God. This is the Black Business Showcase. I am the God, Sincere Love, here with my lovely co-host, nyctegur. We in the digital building. What's going on, everybody?
What's good? I'm jealous. That mic is just like, it's just doing something against that black wall, that pop of gold, like, man.
Once again, shout out to my brother Jay Vega, Jay Vega Barbershop, man, looking out, man, hosting me while I'm out here in New York, hosting me, allowing me to use the space to broadcast live to you all. You know what I'm saying? As y'all can see, it's not my normal background picture going on. I'm not at the crib. I'm at my man Barbershop right now, Jay Vega Barbershop. Good looking again, homie, man. You know, this is dope. Like I said, he went all out, man. Got the equipment ready for me. He ain't have all of this, microphone and all of this stuff. When I hit him up, he was like, yo, I'm gonna make sure I got everything by the time you get there. And so, like I said, he rolled out the red carpet for the God, and I definitely appreciate him.
Yes, I'm loving that mic. Hey, Don Bishop. And I don't know how to say the other person. I'm trying not to cuss.
No, that's a cuss.
Yeah,
that's definitely a cuss. So shout out to you.
Cuss. Right. Shout out to you though. What's the deco, Mr. Vega? Nothing but love.
My brother Jay Vega right there in the chat right there. Appreciate you again, King. Shout out to G&G Firearms in the building. My brother Don Bishop. And this guy with the cuss word on the screen there.
Right.
Shout out to you,
Right.
okay? Hey, all right, let me reset that. All right, so yeah, man, like I said, man, we got another great episode of the Black Business Showcase coming up just ahead. We got an exciting, dynamic guest for y'all tonight. I hope y'all got y'all thinking caps together. You know what I'm saying? I hope y'all ready to expand your paradigm of thought. You know what I'm saying? Because the guest that we got tonight is definitely going to go deep on y'all. I promise.
Let's go real deep. Ocean deep.
You ready, Nicey?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let me let y'all know who we got on the set, man. By the way, before I do that, everybody hit the like button. Need all of y'all to hit the like button.
Why?
Oh.
Hi,
What's going on, wife of Ellie? All right, that's what's up. Appreciate you tapping in. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, hit that like button. Share this out on your social media platforms. Let everybody know that we are live right now. We're gonna be chopping it up with Sadiki Bakari. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter, head on over to the YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live with new episodes. This is the Black Business Showcase. We do this Wednesday and Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. And on Sunday, we got our regular broadcast where we talk about current events and different topics that we feel are important to Black society. So stay tuned with us for all of that good stuff. And let me let y'all know who we got, man. Like I said, our brother Sadiki Bakari is the creator of the Empowered Technology Mastery System and Ascension Blueprint. He is an international consultant and a transformation scientist, empowerment specialist, an internationally recognized organizer, Keriheb Sesh writer, Jegna, and the author of numerous publications and 14 books, including his latest title, Empower, Technology to Imprint Immortality. His methods are authentically profound and scholarship is unparalleled and is considered the authority on spiritual technology, transhumanism, and the singularity as it interfaces with the nexus and future of human experience. And so with that being said, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our guest for this evening, our brother, Mr. Sadiki Bakari. Welcome to the GodCast.
Greetings. How are you? Both of you. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate you taking the time to be with us, brother. Appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Now, I just read that bio. You know what I'm saying? There's some terminology in there that many of us are not familiar with. You know what I mean? I've been promising everybody all week that once we got you on, you was going to shift the paradigm. You know what I'm saying? So I need you to make me look good out here, man. You know what I'm saying? And so what we gonna do, brother, like we always do with our guests, man, we like to start off with the origin story. Okay. So I need you to take us back and give us the Sadiki Bakari origin story and talk about, how all of this came about and where you got to where you at today.
Okay, I do it as brief as possible, brother.
Right. Because I know it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Came to Los Angeles at 4 years old. Lived in South Central primarily, as well as Inglewood. I've been speaking in front of people since I was 6 or 7 years old. I've been dealing with leadership, training, and things of that nature since I was 6 or 7 years old, primarily because of athletics. Jumping from there, I got a football scholarship out of high school. Played Division I football from there. Played professional football for a short stint. During this period, though, while I was in college, I would take my scholarship money for books, and I would not get my books for class. I would get books like Malcolm X on Afro-American history, which is a book of his speeches. So those were the type of books that I was spending my scholarship money on while I was in college. So I was preparing myself, really not knowing what would happen as far as athletics was concerned. But what I realized was what I was born to do was to write and to speak. So those things always came easy. I did term papers or research papers the night before, have a drink and make it happen. So I knew exactly what I would ultimately be doing. So once I was done with athletics, um, I began writing more, became published as a writer. I met a brother named Delzino Wilson Debriano, a black multimillionaire. At 28 years old, I'm around the same age at that time. I studied with him for 4 or 5 years. Um, so these are things that begin to shape and mold me. Then I met people like Winnie Mandela, um, Ashwa Kwesi. Ashwa Kwesi became my teacher. I met him 20 years ago. So he became my teacher, my direct teacher, Steve Coakley as well, who was an ancestor, as well as Amiri Baraka, who was an ancestor. So these people begin to mold me as far as what I'm doing today. Of course, my mother and my father, naturally. So that got me into really, really speaking and going hard, writing and going hard. So, I was finding my way in that process. Obviously, African history was number one. That's what began it all. And then from there, I started getting into other areas, black psychology, metaphysics, politics, all the different things that you'll study on this journey. And, from there, I realized that there were areas that our scholars was not dealing with, right? So the area I'm talking about is transhumanism, the singularity, artificial intelligence, and just technology in general. So we really did not have scholars who was dealing with that as their primary focus. Not just a presentation here and there or something of that sort. So I felt it was imperative that was the lane that I expanded exponentially. So I sent that early work to people like Ashwa Kwesi. My first book, Steve Coakley and I sat up with that.
Amazing.
The things dealing with hip hop, I sent that to Professor Griff. And if I remember correctly, Professor Griff and Black Dot sat down and watched that video. So it went from there. Obviously, with transhumanism and artificial intelligence, I realized that just about every area that we deal with as far as human experience, it was an effect, or technology in general. So that was the lane I went down. Hip hop and the music industry, obviously, entertainment world, end up being one of those lanes, as well as the other areas of human experience. So I knew that this was something that, I really needed to focus on and, do the primary research, so to speak, because there was no blueprint. Like, for African history, we have blueprints. We have scholars that came before us. We had Ashwa Kwesi, his teacher, Dr. Ben. We had John Henry Clark. We had all these people already, Drusilla Dungy Houston. So we had all these people already as a foundation. But as far as technology, transhumanism, and things of that nature, there was no foundation. So I created that foundation and brought scholarship to the table that did not exist. So now we're here. I appreciate you having me on the show, brother, as well as you, sister, as well. So, whatever y'all want to get into, we'll get into it. Spiritual, technology, hip hop in the music industry, transhumanism, wherever you want to go.
Well, first, for some of us who are laymen, we got to get some of these definitions out the way.
Okay.
So, singularity.
Okay.
Can you give us a layman's definition when you say singularity? What are you talking about?
All right. So a layman's definition. So when we say singularity, primarily what the singularity is when artificial intelligence or technology in general is predicted to supersede human intelligence. So the year that most scientists or Western science predict is anywhere from 2030 to 2100. All right. But a lot of them fit within that 2045 range. So that's their prediction. That's what they say. That's what they think. I don't roll with any of that because I understand spiritual technology is the greatest technology on the planet. And that's us. We understand that technology, artificial intelligence, all of that under that umbrella mimics us. We're the original algorithm. We understand that. So all that AI is doing is attempting to mimic us and emulate us in every aspect of our human experience and the things that we're doing on a daily basis. We can look at things like Facebook, right? So Facebook specifically asks you what's on your mind.
Mhm.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
They're asking what's on your mind for a reason. So AI can emulate your mind and your thought process and things of that nature. What is it that you do consistently or pathologically on a daily basis? So they can mimic that in whatever way that they would choose to mimic it with AI. That's what's happening. So Facebook obviously is a agent for artificial intelligence and technology and the quote unquote advancement of that on the artificial side of it. So yeah, Facebook and these other social media entities are CIA, FBI, government affiliates and things of that nature. For
Yes.
war. For war.
Okay. It's social media, and we always say media is warfare. So social media
Correct.
is a weapon within that warfare aspect.
Absolutely.
All right. So the next one is transhumanism.
Okay. Transhumanism, simply put, is the merging of man and machine. So transhumanism is different levels, it's different tiers. So when we say transhumanism, in essence, we're functioning as transhumans right now, because what happens is technology is an extension of who and what we are. When we're on the phone, if we're doing lives and things of that nature, that's transhumanism, but that's on a lower tier. But when we get deeper into transhumanism and what it is, it's more into now we start interfacing our bodies with artificial intelligent technology. All right.
So I'm thinking like Cyborg or the Terminator or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Cybernetic organisms, that would be a great example of what I'm referring to. Man and machine, the interfacing. So half man, half machine, those type of things. $6 million man, bionic woman, all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now spiritual technology. And I saved this one for last specifically because those seem almost like a contradiction of terms. So define that for us.
Okay, so when we deal with technology, primarily there is going to be a result. That's the purpose of technology. Somehow, some way, it's a result for something that we need, something we need to do. So when we say spiritual technology, we're talking about the highest, most divine, most spiritual aspect of these things that we desire or these things that we're doing. So when we say spiritual technology, we're talking about simply what you do on a daily basis algorithmically. You blinking your eye, you breathing, you walking, all of these things are spiritual technology. To get deeper, your imagination is spiritual technology. I always say the imagination is quote unquote God. Your intuition is spiritual technology. Your intuition is that voice of quote unquote God. Sisters don't hear a deep brother's voice. They hear their own voice. Brothers don't hear a sister's voice. They hear their own voice. That is your voice that's tapping into the source or that force of energy, and so on and so forth. So those are the things we're dealing with. Your neurological self, art in general, all these different things are aspects of spiritual technology. Power. And this is exactly what the system is doing on every level to make sure that we don't tap into.
Or our power as Black people.
Excuse me?
You're saying they're trying to keep us from tapping into our power as Black people, the
Absolutely.
creators, the builders of this great world we live in.
Yes, absolutely. We the archetypes. So understand they're very clear. We're different than everyone else, and that's just what it is. Whether we're talking about art, whether we're talking about science, whatever it is that we're talking about, again, we're the archetypes. We're the organic organism, so to speak. All of these things are coming through us. We are the genome. They overstand it on an energetic level. Whatever level we're talking about, they're clear on who and what we are. The issue is so many of us are attempting to be them. We're attempting to mimic them as they're mimicking us. And that's the issue. So what happens is we stay entrapped within the one and the zero, as opposed to tapping into that quote unquote God essence that takes us outside of the one and the zero, and we go exponentially. Whether that is dealing with music or whatever other forms of art, just creativity, brilliance, all of those different things. So they're clear on this, and that's part of the purpose of AI as well, just from a perspective of uh, co-opting what it is that we can do and have already.
Man, so they know exactly who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have an inclination or idea of who we are, but they are part of them. The warfare is to keep us from gaining that understanding of who we actually are. And so, what are some of the main tactics that they use to keep us away from being able to tap into that from your vantage point?
Just programming in the gamut of those things that deal with programming, whether it's psychological operations, psyop programming, whether it's fear-based programming, whether it's predictive programming. The purpose is to persuade people to have a certain mindset. Actually, what's going on right now is so deep when we deal with this cognitive warfare. It's not just about controlling what you think; it's about controlling how and why you think. And that's where they are now. So actually, us as beings, what they're doing is attempting to use us against ourselves for warfare in regards to how we think, what we think, why we think, and then being able to manipulate that through different methods and different means, whether that's a charismatic, your typical political people, those are charismatics who are trained to speak in a certain way and to have certain speech patterns and tones and things of that nature in order to move people or sway people as far as their opinions and things of that nature. So we have that going on. Of course, you have controlled opposition. You have Democrat, Republican, when it really doesn't matter. They're all part of the same gang. We're clear on that. Also, you have problem, reaction, solution, or the Hegelian dialectic. That's something that's very serious. People can look that up. It's very simple. Problem, reaction, solution. They create the stimuli, which is the problem. They overstand the reaction of the people because they've programmed the people. And then obviously the reaction of the people is, say if the problem was terrorism, then the reaction of the people is we need protection. We fear the terrorists, when in essence the terrorist is the government itself. So this is what's happening. So what's the solution? The solution is we need laws. We need Patriots Act 1 and 2. We need Homeland Security bills and things of that nature. So that's what we see play out as far as problem, reaction, solution. So this is science. We're dealing with science that they are doing over and over again. Right now, what we're seeing a lot of is movie romanticism and sensationalism, right? So we see all these black movies coming out, whether it's Django, whether it's a slave archetype, whether it's, a movie that's a black woman hero archetype or whatever it is that we're dealing with. But there's things that's underneath that. Also, be very clear, Black Panther 2 that's coming out. We already know what that emotional response is going to be, because that's part of the emotional programming as well as the trauma programming and the trigger trauma that takes place based on these movies, because they overstand your central nervous system. They're very clear on your central nervous system, how it operates, how it's connected to your emotions. And when I say central nervous system, overstand, that means the spine all the way up to the brain and above. So that is the central nervous system. People say chakras and things of that nature. You're really just talking about the spinal cord. Let's be clear. So energy centers. So they know how to manipulate those energy centers based on the energy that is created in movies, whether it's the energy, the symbolism, the soundtrack, all those different things are used to program you, as well as the other types of things that's in the movie, political things and things of that nature that definitely will tie women into the movie or men into the movie emotionally. So those things people have to be clear, whether it's the feminist archetype, those types of things that we see taking place. And women obviously are going to be emotionally attached to that, and they're going to be triggered by that. So that's something we need to pay attention to. And this is why we see, men and women arguing all over social media, over a movie that's fiction and things of that nature. That's programming. Let's be clear. That's programming. That's why that's taking place. That's why it's happening. Brothers, y'all shouldn't be arguing with these sisters anyway. Be clear. Let them go through their emotional gymnastics. No disrespect, but you got to let them go through their emotional gymnastics, and you just stay in your manhood. Stay on your square.
Respect. Listen, we already getting into the deep water, family. Make sure that y'all sharing this out. Let everybody know that we live talking to Sadiki Bakari on the Black Business Showcase. So, I'm of the belief, you know what I'm saying, based on what you just broke down, I'm of the belief that regardless to how conscious we may think we are, how many books we done read, lectures that we done absorbed and all of that, all of us are still subject to this programming and this social engineering on a certain level. And so I want to get your expert opinion. How can we, especially as parents, raising young children and all that, how can we mitigate or minimize some of that programming? And, you know, what are some of the things that we should be doing on a daily basis other than studying, you know, reading and studying and things of that nature, but just in our daily lives, what are some of the things that we can do to mitigate some of that?
Yeah, that's difficult. And I'm going to tell you why. We didn't grow up with technology like that. Technology was secondary. We wanted to be outside. We wanted to do all those different things. You know, we didn't have this beast of technology, so to speak. When we talk about our children are dealing with that technology. That technology is everywhere. It's in school. It's in their hands. And those are difficult things to deal with, to create a balance of that. Because understand, if grown adults are easily being programmed, what do you think is happening to the children?
Right.
So what really needs to happen with the adults or the parents, first and foremost, they need to be deprogrammed and reprogrammed themselves first before they can begin to even deal with their children and what their children are dealing with. Because if they don't understand, then it's a wrap. It's a wrap. The children will fall prey to that system, to the technology, to the algorithms, all of those different things, to the peer pressure. However, we have to lead by example. That's something else that's important. We can't just say, do. We have to be an example of what it is that we're telling them to do. So like standing on the square is going to be crucial. When we look at the relationship structures with men and women, Black men and women, there's some issues there. Those issues are going to find their way down in regards to the children, right? So in the home, and I'm going to just say this for what it is, we know how Black men have been attacked. We're very clear on that. We understand that Black men are mimicking white men, all right? So we know when we look at most Black men in the home, they're white men, all right? We look at Black women, we know Black women are emulating feminists, white women who are emulating white men, who they also have access and privilege to what white men have when Black women don't. Now, what happens? So when we get in the family structure, you have the Black woman operating as a white woman, operating as a white man. Then you have the Black man operating in probably Euro-Western pathology or patriarchy. So now you have two white men in the home. This is problematic. You cannot have two men in the home. You can't have two women in the home. Be very clear when we deal with balance and complementarity. So there has to be a woman, there has to be a man. You understand? And I know it's women who's going to have problems with this. That's fine. But just let me say this. It always puts it back in perspective. When that refrigerator or that couch need to be carried up the stairs, you're going to go get the brother to do it. Be very clear. It's a reason that you are feminine. And it's a reason that Black men are masculine. And I don't care what white folks or anybody else tell you, you cannot get around that reality. And the more you try to get around that reality, the more issues we continue to have within our unit as a family. And understand, there is an individual attack on Black women. There's an individual attack on Black men. There's an individual attack on the children. But as a whole, the attack is on the family. Be very clear. So as we're arguing amongst each other and not understand that the war is on the entire family, not just one of us, Until we understand that and we begin to get back into who and what we are, get back into our divinity, get back into understanding spiritual technology, start dealing with our fears, overcoming those fears, start dealing with our traumas, start dealing with the deification of all things that are white and things of that nature, whether it's religion, whether it's education, whatever it is that we're talking about, the political system, until we get to that point of understanding what it means to be self-sufficient, self-determining, not being afraid to look in the mirror and deal with ourselves. That's a problem. Take responsibility and accountability. That's men, that's women, that's all of us. But women, we know when it comes to that accountability thing, we know.
Right. Man, I wish I had my sound effect, my soundboard over here, man, so I could set off some bombs right about now, man. You dropping it heavy, man.
We are the weaker vessel. Period. I said that to the ladies. We are the weaker vessel.
Well, from a physical perspective, so we understand that women are powerful in their own right. Men are powerful in their own right, and it's not a competition. Oftentimes, we look at this as a competition. Sisters, we don't need you to do what we can do. We need you to do what you do, and vice versa. Brothers, we don't need you doing what women do. You understand? We need you to do what men do. That's what balance is. That's what complementarity is. But when we start dealing with alien and foreign, psychologies and psychosis and pathologies, we start following psychopaths and things of that nature. Understand what's going to happen. This is Greece and Rome. That's what we're dealing with. People want to move and act like Greece and Rome, forgetting that Greece and Rome deified us.
Right.
They deified us before the colonization and the conquering and things of that nature. They deified us. They wanted to be us. White people have always wanted to mimic us, to emulate us, because they've always seen us as quote unquote God, for lack of a better term, so everybody understand what I'm saying. They've always seen us as quote unquote God and goddess. We have to understand that. But that's the reason we got to go back into ourselves and deal with ourselves.
Man.
Without their being in the way.
And speaking of that balance and that complementary aspect, that's the reason why I felt it was important for this platform for me to go and find a complement. I had to find a sister that could balance this thing out, because I started off doing it on my own. And the way that this conversation is going right here, man, I could go in with you all night, but I need to allow my sister, my complement on the other side here to go in. So go ahead, beloved. Let me make some room for you. And by the way, we got your wife in the digital building. How do we say her screen name?
Drisana. If that's her screen name, Drisana.
Nah, she got something else up here.
Fuck fear. She probably got fuck fear.
Oh, okay. That's the label.
Fuck fear.
Okay,
yeah, that's the point.
Okay.
There's all the media over here. I cannot figure that out.
We with it.
For books, consultation, or to participate in Sadiki Bakari's webinar series, contact him at sadikibakari@hotmail.com or inbox him on social media, Facebook or Instagram, Sadiki Bakari. Thank you for that, beloved. As a matter of fact, while I got you here, where you at? I don't see you over here. I gotta refresh this thing. I got my mod right there. Second Son. If you could copy and paste that inside the chat, so that way I could take it later and put it inside the description. But go ahead, Nicety.
So in order to combat that, since we're talking about the family structure, how important is it to you that we, if we can, those of us that can, homeschooling our kids? Because I believe that's kind of where a lot of the indoctrination does come from. And sorry to say, but a lot of times too from the church.
You're absolutely correct.
Have to call it out.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Homeschooling is definitely a plus if that's what people are capable of doing, because everyone is not prepared to homeschool their children. So make sure you're prepared to do that. First of all, you're willing to take the time to do that. My girls were homeschooled early. That's very important from a standpoint of their development. So when they went into I'll say revolutionary schooling, because it's not a like a public private school type of thing. It's more of a revolutionary school. They were already ahead at that point. So homeschooling is very important, because what happens is you're able to give them what they will not get in school. They will not get African-centeredness in school unless they go to a school that specifically is able to focus on that along with whatever their curriculum is. So that's a very important thing, to build up their self-esteem and things of that nature. The best place for that to happen is at home and early. As they get older, is difficult to build that self-esteem. So yes, that's very important. Now, religion, that's a whole nother rabbit hole in itself. We have to get back to who and what we are. We have to get back to our own spiritual traditions, whatever they are. There's different traditions. I'm not saying you have to be of one particular spiritual tradition. At the end of the day, they all have similarities. As well, there are some differences. But the bottom line is that's more catered to who and what we are on every level as beings. That's why that's important. As far as religion, people oftentimes, that's when cognitive dissonance set. That's another aspect of programming. The cognitive dissonance set in when you challenge people's belief systems with truth or facts. So they'll stay stuck in their belief system simply because they are not ready, or they are too programmed in order to continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to transform, to continue to be on a journey, to apply knowledge and things of that nature. So religion is one of those strongholds. People can say whatever they want. It's one of the strongholds. It is what it is. And that's what it's for. And that's what we have to understand. So when you say religion, this is not what ancient people was doing. Right. Let me say that. So it's a lot of things I can say in regards to religion. Who's been to hell?
Right.
So you live in your life based off of what? A theory. And that's a fear program. Now, I could easily say heaven and hell is within you. You choose which one you operate in on a daily basis. That's more realistic, right? Where did the notion or concept of hell come from? See, it's a lot of things we got to deal with. What is a mentor? What is Amen? Right? These are things that people should know, right? How come Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John have 4 different accounts, but it's supposed to be the word of God? That's problematic. So now God is gossiping. That's an issue. See, these are the things that people don't want to deal with. When we deal with, when the Bible talks about creation, it's simply just metaphors, myths, allegories for you to understand your own power, if you can see the metaphysics in it.
Got our brother Black Dot in the building. Shout out to Black Dot in the digital building.
My man. Much love to Black Dot, man. I got a lot of respect for Black Dot. Quick story, if you don't mind.
Nah, go ahead.
King Simon brought me to New York in 2012. I did a lot of folks shows for, promotion and things of that nature out there. Black Dot said he would show up. He showed up. And let me tell you, man, I don't think I've ever seen rain like that. Like the way it was raining was crazy. He showed up. From that day forward, I was like, this is my brother, period. Like, he kept his word, and I promised him I would bring him to LA, and that's what I did. He came to LA, he killed it. I just got much respect for Black Dot, much respect for his work. And I want to give him that love and just give him that shout out for real.
Definitely. I'll bear witness to that, man. I have, I could say some beautiful things about the brother as well, but it's not about me tonight, man. We're going to keep it going with you. And this is a good place to segue too, man, because last time we had Black Dot on the show a couple of weeks ago, we got heavy into the conversation about this whole hip hop thing and who started hip hop and the origins of hip hop. And, the conversation started going crazy based on the comments that was made by Busta Rhymes saying that it's a Caribbean and Puerto Rican thing, and Black Americans ain't got no culture. Fat Joe saying, Puerto Ricans created it 50-50 along with Black folks. And I know that you have an opinion and a deeper perspective on all of this. So I want you to just really take it away from here and do what you do, build on this topic.
Well, you said the key word, opinions. That's important to understand. Just because a person is a rapper or MC or whatever a person is doing doesn't mean that they actually study the history of what we call hip hop in this era.
And before you go in, let me ask you, have you participated in any of the elements, MCing, DJing, B-boying, graffiti?
I did all of them except graffiti. I can't. That's something I just can't do. Drawing, and that's not what I'm good at.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely. I grew up hip hop.
Okay.
I grew up cardboards on Crenshaw Boulevard. Anybody who know LA understand what Crenshaw Boulevard is. We grew up on Crenshaw Boulevard, literally on cardboard. Like, we hip hop. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
like MCing, all of that. We straight hip hop. All the aspects of the culture of it, we straight hip hop. That's what it is. So for me, it's not just about the scholarship. It's about the life that I've lived. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not just from a scholarly perspective, but that's what I'm saying. So you have people who are involved in quote unquote hip hop, because some of that is music industry. And I always go on record saying they're two different things. They're not the same thing. Hip hop is the archetype. The music industry is an artificial construct, so to speak. But in order to have that artificial synthetic construct, you need to have the archetype. We are the archetype. Understand that. Before the music industry, hip hop had its soul. Once it start interfacing with the music industry, we slowly started seeing what was happening to the soul and the spirit and the energy from a standpoint of hip hop, our art in general, and what was taking place. Because we understand the music industry is a succubus. We understand, it's a parasite. We're very clear on what the music industry is and what it does. And just because you see people rapping or whatever they're doing in the music industry does not make it hip hop. And you rarely see the elements in the music industry. Think about it. You rarely see the elements. You always see the rapper. Sometimes you see the DJ, but you rarely see the B-boy and the B-girl. You rarely see the graph artist or the aerosol artist. So let's be very clear. Let's not use them synonymously, because that's not what it is. And that's a huge mistake that is taking place, because what it does is it rapes the essence of what hip hop is when we start amalgamating it with the music industry itself, which, as I stated, is a parasite ran by psychopaths. So we got to be clear about that. We got to understand it.
Man, I just want to say to that, you know what I mean? Me and my brother DJ RP Beats, man, we came together and we formed Master Elements specifically for that purpose. Mm-hmm. And part of our mission was to put the DJ back in the forefront. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Usually when we introduce ourselves, it's DJ RP Beats and Sincere Love to God. Dope. You know what I'm saying? Yes. The way that we release our music, he's in the forefront of it. Of course, I'm the MC. People, associated with my voice, the lyricism and all of that. But he's really the foundation of everything that we do. So that was important to us to make sure that was recognized, man, because like you said, the DJ got pushed to the back when really that was the foundation of all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, literally.
About it that way till now. Until you just said that, when I think back, because I grew up 80s, it was always a DJ in the videos. There was always a DJ, mixing and scratching. It always started with that. Before someone even starts spitting, you got the DJ doing all the crazy mixing and scratching and all the tricks on the turntables. I used to F up my mom's turntables when I think about it. So, right now, it made so much sense what you said. Right now, they only focus on the artist, and they did literally remove the DJ. Mm-hmm. Like, it just came full circle for me right there.
Absolutely.
Right. So what are the origins? Where do these elements come from, brother?
Well, they come from a lot of different places. So you were just talking about the DJ. Let's look at that. So people who are stuck in this 50-year era, it's the reason I said era. All right. First of all, when we deal with hip hop, it's eras. It may have been called different names, but yet still hip hop, because it's still brothers and sisters doing what we do artistically, right? So we know that couldn't have started in 1973 because we don't even know how long we've been on this planet. We've been on this planet so long. So as long as we've been on this planet, we've been dealing with spiritual technology. We've always had an imagination. And if the imagination is quote unquote God, we're very clear on what the imagination is able to produce. We're clear. So let's look at the DJ. So we know the DJ didn't start in 1973. We clear on that. Now, in that era, we know what the DJ looked like, what the DJ was doing. We clear. That doesn't take away from what was happening at that time with the DJ and what was going on in the Bronx and so on and so forth. Doesn't take away from that. But what we got to understand is, it's like when we just look at our history from a standpoint and we stop at slavery. That's what's happening when we deal with hip hop and we stop at 1973. What were they doing in the Black Arts Movement, the Black Power Movement, the Civil Rights Movement? It wasn't hip hop intertwined in that. 1964 is when the Black Arts Movement was founded by Mary Baraka. What were they doing? What were they doing? They was doing art. You understand? But let's look at the drum. So when we look at the drum, we know the drum, you can go all over the continent and you're going to find a drum for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. But before it was a drum, obviously people was drumming on themselves. Let's just keep it 100. These things evolve. Let's be clear. I already talked about how we exist within the 0 and the 1, but we have the capacity to exist and expand exponentially outside of the 0 and the 1, because the binary code has to have an algorithm, and we are the algorithm exponentially. So let's be clear, the drum been here. Is nothing new. Even when we look at beatboxing, right? Which is one of the elements.
Right.
We attribute beatboxing to Dougie Fresh or whomever else. If there was some who came before him that's documented, that's fine. But let's be clear. We can look at the Baka of Cameroon. We clear what the Baka of Cameroon was doing for thousands and thousands of tens of thousands of years. We're very clear that they were beatboxing, and they weren't beatboxing to hold the rhythm and things of that nature or to stay on the one. That's not what we were doing. The reason we were beatboxing is because we understood how it affected young babies, how it affected babies from a standpoint of neurologically. Now, obviously, they didn't use the term neurological, but they understood how it affected the baby from a neurological and cognitive perspective. They were very clear on that. So what we call binaural beats today, which people use for many different reasons, we were already doing that with our own being. We weren't doing that artificially from the standpoint of some type of computer sound and things of that nature. We were already doing that. That's what was happening. The Baka.
So it was a healing modem, is what you're saying? They were using it for healing purposes?
It was more of a purpose for cognitive development for the babies. Okay. So they understood what these sounds, how these sounds affected their children and helped to evolve their children from a standpoint of cognitively and neurologically. All right. So these are the things that we were doing, and it's out there, but you have to do the research. You have to understand the research. Black Dot, the heartbeat is the first drum. Exactly. Because the heartbeat is always on the one. If it's not on the one, what happens?
Heart attack.
You out of here. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, he's absolutely correct. So be clear, it goes through stages and eras and things of that nature. So that's something we got to understand. You know, listen, man, we got to stop putting ourselves in a box, right? What about when we talk about the MC or the quote unquote rapper? Now, when we say rapper, first of all, it meant something different before the music industry. Let's be clear. If you talk to Amdi Hamilton of the Watts Prophets, he will break down the Louisiana and what was going on in Louisiana from a standpoint of the Creole people and what they were doing from a standpoint of the spoken word or the word in general, emceeing, but they called it rapping. All right. This is 40s, 50s, 60s. So I'm just so people understand.
And they called it rapping.
Correct. So people understand. And of course, what was Amdi and the Wise Prophets doing in the 60s?
Right.
What were they doing? Talking about rap.
They had an album with the word rap in it.
Absolutely. So when we understand eras,
right, they take our stuff and repackage it and sell it to us under a different name, basically.
What's that, sister?
I said they take our stuff, whatever we've created, like you said, 30s and 40s, repackage it, change the name, and sell it to us.
Exactly.
Basically, what's happened with hip hop in a way.
I think one of the major traps that we seem to fall into is this generational divide, where every time the youth come up with a new expression, the old heads shun it and don't really embrace it. And then that creates a resentment between the generations. You know what I'm saying? And then the language changes, the terminology changes, and then everybody that's coming after that thinking this is something new, when really it's just a continuation of what was already there. Mm-hmm. But there was a gap within the generation, so the continuity got broken off somehow from that riff.
No,
I think that's the trap.
No, absolutely, and that works both ways. The example you gave is right on point, but as well, there's issues with the younger generation from a standpoint of how they deal with the older generation, so to speak. The respect factor is low. So it works both ways. It's interesting, though, because the very thing that keeps hip hop alive, which is creativity, we often fight ourselves when it comes to creativity. The issue is not the creativity. The issue is the space where the creativity is coming from. That's the issue. And this is why I keep talking about divinity and spiritual technology. When we tap into the soul versus dealing with all these exoteric things, these things are being used to manipulate, to impose certain types of behaviors, to impose pathologies, to impose certain ways of thought and things of that nature. That's what you're going to see people talking about. You understand? So it's important that we understand that. So if these, the next generation, you know, we got to be clear what it is that they're dealing with. And this is why I deal with technology the way I do. Technology is a beast. We did not have technology the way they have technology. It is consuming them everywhere, on every level. They have access to things that they shouldn't even be dealing with yet. It shouldn't even be in their consciousness yet. Things that they cannot critically assess, things that they are not mature enough to experience and take in. That's what they're dealing with on a daily basis. The psychosexual side of it and all the things that they can easily see, simply turn on their phone and they can see these things. We didn't have that type of access, so to speak. You could find it if you wanted to, but the program just wasn't so in your face like it is with all the technology that's jumping off. And wait until they start putting people inside the computer, as opposed to now we're outside the computer, you know, having this communication, right? The goal is to put them inside of the computer, metaverse, meta landscapes, infrastructures and things of that nature. Obviously, you're going to have people all over the place in regards to that and what's going on with virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and things of that nature. But it's difficult if you don't understand technology and what technology does from a standpoint to our being.
And you've been talking about the technology aspect of hip hop for a very long time.
Yeah.
And now, you know, we're seeing, you know, it really it's coming now. You know what I'm saying? They have recently talked about that AI rapper that got signed to, I think it was Capitol Records or whatever the case may be. And there was some pushback where they, you know, they dropped the deal that they did with the company or whatever the case may be. But we see they're already testing it. They're already field testing to see what it looks like to me as if they can replace us with technology. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why do I need to sign you and listen to you complain and talk about you want to own your masters and all of this stuff, and I gotta, send you on tour and all that, when I could just take this AI and make money off of that into perpetuity, and ain't nobody gonna complain, ain't nobody gonna take me to court for their masters or none of that. And so you've been talking about that for.
But they will still need our brain for the beats, for the lyrics, either because they're not writing hot stuff. They're not, dropping nice beats. So either way, they will still need our Black brains.
Absolutely.
But they would, I think they would have more leeway to, because they do it now, but to be able to pick and choose from, the lowest common denominator that will do anything for a couple of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Because you've seen how ratchet they was going with that AI dude. I forgot what the name was of that AI thing, but
FN Mecca.
Yeah, FN Mecca. They was trying to go straight to the mud. You know what I'm saying? And so, what's your thoughts on it now that you're seeing the whole conversation around that, and everybody's kind of talking about it now, but you've been talking about it for a long time.
I mean, I think it's great. I also think though there needs to be integrity. You know what I mean? I give scholars and teachers their respect. If I'm talking about Kemet, I'm gonna mention Asha Kwesi or Dr. Ben or whomever it is that I'll mention. If I'm talking about art, I'm going to mention Amiri Baraka or whoever it is that I mention. If I'm dealing with hip hop, got Black Dot on here. I mentioned Black Dot. I mentioned people like Black Dot. I mentioned Griff. I mentioned a lot of different people, and these are people that I've met in person. But I definitely make sure I give them props and things of that nature for their work because it's tireless. Not too many people are up at 4 a.m. doing this work so they can present this work to our people in the world in general for our benefit. So for me, that's what it's about. So it's great that everyone's talking about it. That's why I do it, to assist our people to be able to grow, to be able to transform themselves, to know what's going on, to give them a heads up and things of that nature from a standpoint of technology and what's happening. What I would like to see, though, is people having more integrity from a standpoint of just respect the archetype.
Put some respect on your name, man. I'll say it for you. I'll say it for you. Put some respect on our brother's name. Give the credit where the credit is due, man. He's been putting down this game for a long time. Stop trying to act like you invented the wheel. I'll say it for you.
Yeah, that's my lane. You know what I mean? We got our lanes. We can still deal with other things, obviously, but we have our lane. So when we deal with the technology, that's my lane. You know what I mean? So now that this is coming out with FN Mecca, I mean, this is my old work. But now that everybody's here and everybody's up to speed, I pull it back out, right? So what am I saying? So this is not a first. This is just the evolution of it, right? You had Rapping Napoleon, which was created by James Monroe. If I'm not mistaken, it was 1979, maybe 1978. It was the late 70s. So this is the first operating system that we saw that was considered a quote unquote rapper, artificial intelligent rapper. So it's not the first time. It's just the evolving of it and how it happens. So now, because of all the talk about virtual reality, the metaverse, and all of these different things, so now they want to throw it in your face. But let's see how they respond to it. Because that's how it works. It's never going to be this immediate thing like people think. This is not an immediate thing, but this is a thing. Understand? So I did a futuristic timeline dealing with hip hop and the music industry and how it's going to look, going 100 years into the future. So people would understand, and those things are happening. I mean, I documented it, 15 years ago. These things are happening. At some point, you're going to see, just like you saw FN Mecca, you're going to start seeing the rap battles, so to speak, with these artificial intelligent cyborgs or androids or operating systems or whatever it is that we'll be calling them, virtual rappers, whatever the situation is. You're going to see it. You're going to see concerts. You're going to see all this in the virtual world. That's what you're going to see in the metaverse or whatever other verses it's going to be or metas it's going to be, because there's tons of companies that's going to have them. So that's what we got to understand. So what they do is they put it in your face. Let's see how they respond. We know how to move forward. But the technology been there. It's been happening. They've already been doing concerts with androids and things of that nature in China and all over the world. It's nothing new. Concerts, all right? People were talking about the hologram things. Oh, it's old. That's old technology. But this is why, again, I say how we're the archetype. We're the archetype. Whose voice is being used? When they talk about all these people doing these possible concerts that were supposed to be holographic concerts, even though they weren't going to be holographic because they were projections. Let's be clear. They were projections, not holograms. However, Tupac, Whitney Houston, whomever else, I can't remember at the moment.
I know Prince said he wasn't with it. Prince said, "Don't do me."
Come on, man. Yes, come on. Because see, this is, man, the voice, the power of the voice. See, when we start talking about masters and all these things, what is it really about? What is it really about? Controlling your essence. Your essence is coming through your voice. So now they have control of your voice forever. They can do whatever they want to do with your voice. You don't think you're going to find these ancestors who were murdered and the many other things that happened? You don't think you're going to find their voices on quote unquote rappers in the virtual world? You don't think you're going to see all the elements in the virtual world? See, they want to take you out of your imagination. They understand that's where the power is. They want to take you out of your imagination and put you into an artificial construct of an imagination, which is a virtual world. That's what's taking place. It's always about stripping us of our power in whatever capacity that it shows itself.
I'm just saying, like, that was just heavy for me.
It's heavy.
It's heavy because you don't hear this type of stuff, like, and it's just making so much sense because everything that we're seeing, the things that we disagree with, you know what I'm saying? They're just shoving it down our throats. Like, we're gonna force feed you this shit, even though you don't like the taste. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make you, and that's what all of this is to me.
Absolutely.
How do we combat it though? How do we combat? As adults, not just the children, of course, like Sincere said, we can read all day, but this is our world for those of us that have to go to work, for those of us that have to get out here in this world. How do we combat the chew the meat and spit out the fat? Is that how it goes? How do we
time management? We got to do a lot better with time management, right? We got to do a lot better with the healing side of things. A lot of us think that we're healed. And we're not. A lot of us have traumas that are not healed. A lot of us have traumas that are easily triggered. A lot of us are in fear-based programming. I mean, COVID showed you exactly what we're dealing with. It showed you all the people that you thought was super conscious and aware. You saw what happened with that fear program. You saw what happened with the pressure. When the pressure came, you see what I'm saying? See, we understand the pressure. We understand what we're doing out here. So we know what it's about. So when the pressure comes, we're able to deal with that pressure. Also, people have to understand, 3-minute TikToks is not research. That's not scholarship.
Right.
Let's be clear. So like when we talk about making these connections and things of that nature, when I say making connections, I mean of these different areas and how we're able to connect the dots, as Steve Coakley would say, connect these dots and to be able to put things together that you normally would not be able to put together unless you go deep down that rabbit hole. That's what people like Black Dot does. That's what people like Professor Griff does, Astro Quasi, on and on and on. Francis Cress Wilson, who is an ancestor now. Y'all know tons of names that we can mention, right? But that is the pathology for us. It's serious research for us to be able to pull these things together and understand how they connect. Like even when we talk about Neely Fuller and Francis Cress Wilson talks about those areas of people activity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those 9 areas. We understand now that each one of those areas, we have to put an asterisk next to those areas with technology. And
Yeah.
now we add an area to those 9. So now it's a 10th, with all due respect, that's technology. Because all 9 of those areas are ran by technology.
Right.
You understand? So for us to really be able to dig into these things, man, it's many, all-nighters over the decades and things of that nature. That's just part of what it is. And that's why for me, like, I take it so serious. I'm serious about this work. So when we start talking about, AI and hip hop in the music industry, I'm serious about that. So for me, I'm the one that was up at 4 a.m, not people who are claiming that this is something that they were doing. They wasn't there with me at 4 a.m. You understand?
You be shooting in the gym?
Right. There was no, listen, man, like I said in the beginning, there was no template for me to deal with this. Again, you have people who may have done, like, a presentation on something, but we didn't have like anyone that said, okay, you know what? I need to go in on this. And look, Black Dot was an inspiration, still is an inspiration, right? All that Black Dot did and is doing with metaphysics and all of these different things with hip hop, the history, all of that inspiration, right? Same thing with Griff. All that Griff was dealing with, behind the curtain and things of that nature in hip hop, and all of that, man, is inspiration. So what I'm saying is, I draw inspiration from these brothers and sisters. You see what I'm saying? That's how I move, and that's how I deal with it. Like, it's not about trying to claim things that I know I didn't do. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give those brothers and those sisters, their props for doing what they do. Like, I understand what it takes. So just that alone, they're gonna get my respect. Even people that I don't deal with, still, I respect their work because I know what it takes. So I know what they had to do to be able to put certain things together, to be able to do series, to be able to write books, to be able to do all the things that these brothers and sisters are doing. It's not about competition. It's not about that. It's about bringing the best you to the table and then adding that to our experience. And we can use those experiences, that knowledge, that research, the application of that knowledge and things of that nature for power. That's what it's about.
Why do you think people like Fat Joe and Busta Rhymes, why do you think they're so comfortable? One, I feel like disrespecting foundational Black Americans with those, talking points that they came with. Why do you feel like we've invited them as guests into our home, into our culture, into our creation? Why do you think that they are so comfortable with being that disrespectful and blatant with the disrespect?
Yeah, that's hard to answer because I'm not in their heads. I mean, it could be because they're ignorant. I don't know. It may not be intentional. It may not be an intentional disrespect. They just may be ignorant of the history of what's happened here in America from a standpoint of art. It could simply be that. Like, it doesn't always have to be something intentional. Like even Spike Lee in his comments, it could just be ignorance. Again, these people may not be or probably aren't historians when it comes to particular topics. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they do what they do. They're in the studio doing what they do. That's what they do. That's what they do as far as I know. But I know what we do. And what we do is we deal with this knowledge 24/7. So we understand. That's why I can so confidently say eras. And I don't care about what anyone says about like 1973 is the beginning and it's the epoch and all of that. I don't care about that. I got too much ammunition. It doesn't matter. I'm very clear about eras. I'm very clear about the imagination. I'm very clear about art on many different levels and what we have been able to do, brothers and sisters, and how it becomes something in another era, or how something is created in another era, but it's still connected. And that's what we have to remember, period. We cannot separate these things. And what's really a trip is all of that is European mindset. It's all European mindset. As much as we think people are conscious because they have locks and all of these other things, when you hear people speak, you overstand. You overstand. So again, sometimes it's ignorance. It's not always intentional. I don't know. It may be intentional. You know what I mean? Like I often say, people are very arrogant in their ignorance.
Mm-hmm. I'm not giving Spike Lee a pass though.
You ain't giving nobody no pass. By the way,
I'm not giving passes.
Nobody no pass.
I'm not giving passes. I'm not giving passes. But I'm just
saying is like you said he may not know. Spike knows because in his movie Do the Right Thing, he actually kind of sort of addressed that the hip hop thing when the character, what's his name, my brother, he passed away a few years ago.
Raheem.
He had the Radio Raheem when he's walking down the street, he's playing the loud music with his, box. And then you have the Puerto or whatever they were, on the steps listening to whatever their baranga, whatever you want to call it, right? And so as he's walking down the street, they're telling him, get out of here with that jungle music, blah, 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 right? So how is it that y'all are 50-50 in hip hop? And this is what Spike Lee was co-signing when you have a movie that you did in the early 90s, contradicting what you just said, fool.
That's Hollywood. You know what I mean? That's Hollywood at the end of the day. So you're gonna deal with forked tongues. I don't think he knows when we truly deal with the history of hip hop prior to 1973. Because anyone who knows won't make that statement. Black Dot won't make that statement. Right. Professor Griff won't make that statement. KRS-One, I don't think he would make that statement. If we really dealing with hip hop from a standpoint of eras. So let me preface this. A lot of people, when you say hip hop, don't understand. It doesn't just mean starting at 1973. Now, when you deal with the name 1973, all right, we understand that. But you had other things taking place long before that. Harlem Renaissance, what was that? Right. Were they not doing art?
Right.
Would you not see those elements? Did you not see fashion and all of those different things? And see, we always get stuck in the 4 elements anyway. Isn't it like 9?
I went to 9. I went to 9 and I added yours, the technology aspect onto
it. Okay, excellent. So we got 10. You know what I mean? So, man, we can't overlook these phenomenal aspects of our history, because trust me, the system is not going to remind you.
Only the negative stuff.
So if we don't hold it dear to ourselves, it's problematic. And it's sad because, let me say this, it's sad because people are so staunch in their cognitive dissonance that they won't even listen to anything outside of 1973 in the Bronx. They won't even listen to it. You understand? Cognitive dissonance. So now, if we talk about disrespect, so you disrespecting Amdi Watts of the Watts Prophets. You disrespecting the lockers and the poppers that was out here doing it before 73, in the late 60s. You disrespecting them here on the West Coast. People act like we didn't have any hip hop on the West Coast until like 1976 or 1977 or something. You understand? So it's disrespect to people who was already doing it. No, it wasn't called hip hop yet.
Right. But the elements
always have existed. Everyone knows it. You can't deny it. Well, they can, but not logically. They cannot deny it. It's just too much proof.
This is the reason why I think it's important for brothers like yourself, Black Dot, Professor Griff, and others. I think the brother Paradise from X-Clan does a great job. Wise, intelligent. Certain brothers that are not afraid to tell the truth and go outside of the myth. Who you say?
Lord Jamar, he addressed it.
Lord Jamar goes in. Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
But people who are not afraid to go outside of the myth, the folklore of hip hop, and really get into the essence of it, y'all brothers got to be consultants when it comes to these museums, when it comes to these documentaries, so on and so forth. They got to have y'all brothers as consultants so that we can put it in its proper perspective. There's nothing wrong with the folklore, but it needs to be understood that it's folklore though.
Correct.
We can't tell it's like this is scholarship and actual history. You know what I'm saying? That part needs to be corrected. And this is the reason why it's an honor to talk to you, man, because you know we have a saying on our show, you know, we're not the master teachers, we are only the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new black media. And so when we talk about the master teachers, these names that you mentioned, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, Neely Fuller, Ozra Kwesi, all of the names that you mentioned, Dr. Ben, so on and so forth.
Yeah, Phil Valentine. I mean, this is.
We read their books, we listened to the lectures.
Yeah.
But you actually sat at the feet of a lot of these people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You actually studied at the feet of a lot of these people. So brothers like you are important. We can't act like you don't exist. And we out here trying to take credit for everything. You know what I'm saying? When you did the scholarship, you know what I'm saying? So talk about some of the books. Talk about some of the actual books. This is the Black Business Showcase. So let everybody know where they can get the books and talk about some of your work and all of that too.
Well, the books you can get directly from me. Just inbox me on Facebook or Instagram, Sadiki Bakari, SADIKI BAKARI, or you can email me. Same name, Sadiki Bakari, one word, Sadiki Bakari @hotmail.com. That's regarding books. A lot of people are getting a library of consciousness that I have, which is 10 of my 14 books. Those 10 books are available as paperback. So a lot of people are getting that package, the library of consciousness. Consultations one-on-one, that's more geared towards empowered technology. So that's the scope of mastery from a standpoint of empowerment, transformation, dealing with fear, dealing with trauma, dealing with the central nervous system, dealing with your neurological self, stimulating the imagination, stimulating intuition, things of that nature, so you can tap into that divine self, that supreme aspect of what exists within yourself. Whether it's discipline, whether it's consistency, whether it's focus, whether it's raising esteem, whether it's becoming more secure within yourself, whether it's self-love, self-worth, whether it's dealing with self-sabotage, whether it's dealing with more courage and being fearless, whatever it is, the Empowered Technology Mastery System is there to assist people. I'm assisting people one-on-one, internationally, all over the world. I'm grateful. I deserve it. I put a lot of work in, decades. Like you said, I sat at the feet. I took the constructive criticism. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't take it personal because I knew it was for the best. And I knew the fact that they were saying the things that they were saying to me was so I could be better. You understand? And they understood that I'm standing on their shoulders. You see what I mean? But the most important thing is they saw a lot of themselves in me. And that's why they took so much time and so much pride in me and my development. So now I'm here and, you know, I'm paying it forward. So anyone who's interested, if you're interested in the one-on-ones, if you're interested in the books or all of the above, if you're interested in the Empowered Technology, Empowered Quantum Ascension Technology course as well, inbox me or email me in regards to that. I have 4 classes left in regards to that. So just reach out to me and we'll make it happen and we'll get you involved and we'll continue to grow, continue to ascend, and just continue to do this one by one.
And what about the Fuck Fear, the clothing brand and all that too?
Yeah, the Fuck Fear, it's the wife's brand. Of course, I'm 1000% supportive of the brand. Fuckfear.com. I'm sure she'll probably put it in the chat. Fuckfear.com. It's tons of things over there, brothers for you, women, specific things for you over there as well, earrings and head wraps and things of that nature. So Just go to the site, see what's over there.
I want to pull it up. What
Is
is
there an
it?
Instagram?
Fuckfear.com. Fear has a 3 in it. Fuckfear.com. Yeah, fuckfear.com. So yeah, she put a lot of work into it. I'm proud of her. Just that commitment.
Now I gotta ask you this.
Okay,
I'm in the right spot. I'm gonna share this on the screen in a minute. Now, how come wifey got a website and you don't? I got a feeling there's a reason behind this. Yeah, I know. I know that.
I've had a website. I've had a website before.
I know this is intentional, but I want to know why.
I just choose to at the moment to not have a website. I move a certain way. You know what I'm saying? I move a certain way. I'm very strategic. I'm very calculated.
Is it because I want to take a stab at it?
Okay.
Is it that you want to screen people more? You don't want just anybody and everybody to be able to have access and be able to just come into the circle like that? That would be my conjecture, just looking from the outside in.
That's one of the reasons. However, ultimately, I know I can't screen everyone. So it's just not about that total control, so to speak. I'm not a control freak. But, you know, I'm very calculated. I'm very strategic. But it does help me to be able to be more hands-on with what's going on and who's coming in and things of that nature. Now, that doesn't mean at some point I may get a website again. You see what I'm saying? But at the moment, I'm good. Yeah, there go the wife right there. Y'all see the shirts. It's a lot of things. Those are the patches.
Okay.
Iron-on patches. Yeah. So she got hats. You know, all of that. It's all there. It's all there. So support the wife, definitely. You support her, you support me. You support me, you're supporting her. And that's what it's about.
There we go. I'm trying to get a good picture of it here, but let me see.
Yeah, that's
can y'all see it? Can y'all see it good on the screen? Because I'm on the other side.
I see it good.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so that's the hat. Yeah.
All right. So this is fuckfear.com, family. Fear is spelled with the number 3.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
She a warrior, man. You know what I mean?
Respect, man.
I love it. I love it, man. She living fuck fear. You feel me? She living it.
I think I'm spelling it wrong.
F number 3 ARE is fear.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Yeah, so that's what's up. That's what's up. Support the movement.
Yes.
Support the brand.
Indeed.
Support our brother and his wife. Doing great things out here, man. And so I want to give you the opportunity to just say something that we didn't think to ask you about that you feel, you know, is important and relevant to the conversation tonight.
Yeah, man. First, I just want to thank y'all for having me on. I appreciate what you do. Anyone who has a platform that allow brothers and sisters to come on and speak freely. You know, that's important for us as far as our development, to be able to speak freely and not to have chains on our tongue. So I appreciate that, definitely. But what I would say is we need to put more focus onto healing. Healing is a do thing. That's important. I'm not talking about all the new ageism that you hear and see on the internet. I'm talking about real daily healing, because that's what it's going to take. You cannot talk about unity if there's not going to be healing. If you're talking about reparations, cats better start healing themselves. Definitely. Because what's going to happen with the reparations? You're giving it right back to the white boy. Let's be real. All right. So we need to go through this healing process. And I know we want to be at step 10, but we're not. We're at step 0. Let's just keep it 100. And what's going to get us to the next step or the next level is healing. This is why I put the premium on the healing. It's crucial. It's imperative. Every movement, this is what was missing. We was going 1,000%, but the healing wasn't part of it. So we weren't growing. We were continuously just being chipped and chipped and chipped at. You understand? The healing has to take place. When the healing is taking place on a higher, greater level, we will start seeing particular changes. Now, first of all, sisters, that definitely starts with you. the nurturers.
Yep.
So when we talk about children, you got them first. You have them first. They Baba's children when they get about 9, 10, 11, 12. Now they really need that male energy. You feel me? So that's kind of that process. So we really need that healing because those early stages, when the child is very small, we need our sisters to be on point from a standpoint of being healers and nurturers and understand the power in that. His power in being feminine. There's power in it. There's no power in being overly masculine because obviously you have masculinity in you. All right. But we understand that you are a woman and it's the femininity that is the true power. Let's be clear. Brothers, we already know what it is with us and what we need to do and what we're not doing. Healing is imperative. Brothers, we got to stop being so tough when it comes to us healing and transforming ourselves. We got to do it. Some of the sisters know what they're doing from a standpoint of healing. We got to drink those teas, right? We got to do those things. We got to let her put her hands on us. You know, all those different things that we need. You know what I'm saying? And desire. So let's get more on this healing path. And that's why my platform at this point is really more about empower technology and a mastery system, which has these healing components in it and things of that nature to assist brothers and sisters so we can just continue to grow, continue to move forward, and be the best that we can be. You know, be those divine, quote unquote, kings and queens, quote unquote, gods and goddesses.
Right. It makes sense that you said that about the healing. Don Bishop brought up a great point with the sex agenda that's going on, obviously in Hollywood, and D Wade and his son, who's now, you know, transitioned into a girl. But remember, D Wade, you know, divorced their mother, right? And it was a lot of back and forth between him and the children. And I'm thinking there's some type of trauma happened with that child, with possibly missing his mother. Maybe this is him, you know what I'm saying, seeing his mother in him because he missed that. Because Gabby is a stepmom, it's not mama. You know, and I know for a long time, and this is just tabloid stuff, but for a long time, those children weren't allowed to see their mom. You know, she was homeless for a little bit, you know, and things like that after that separation. So I'm thinking it's the trauma. And I don't think that D Wade has given him the right type of healing and dealing with that situation in which, you know, I don't know who calls it, which it doesn't matter who calls it, it's the healing itself. And I think that they gone with the white agenda, you know, the white doctors and saying, oh, well, if you're feeling, you know, feminine, tap into that versus dealing with the actual root of the problem, which was, you know, the separation from the mother from the child. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole. You opened that gateway. You went down the rabbit hole. So I'm sure some of your listeners may already know. We understand in the 70s, all of that was considered mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
So when the book that have the mental diagnosis in it, I don't remember the name of the book at the moment. All of that was considered mentally ill, mental illnesses. You understand? So just pay attention. So now all of a sudden it's something that they want you and the masses to capitulate to.
Mm-hmm.
When it's already been cleared by psychologists and psychiatrists that all of that, LGBTQ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of that was diagnosed as mental illness. Now they want you to think it's a spiritual thing.
Right.
You understand? So just pay attention. But see, this is why, brothers, we got to stand on our square, period. Be a man. There's nothing wrong with manhood. Embrace that. Embrace the manhood, period. Any sisters who not with it? Cool. Embrace your manhood, period. That's what it's about. That's what we need is our manhood, period. Women, y'all talking about protection. What did Frances Cress Wilson say? I'm paraphrasing. She said something to the degree of women want protection, yet they don't want to be corrected.
Yeah. A black man will never protect a woman that he can't correct. Something
Correct.
like that. Yeah.
Correct. See, we got to deal with these things. You're going to have to take instruction and correction if you want to be protected. You want us to protect you, but you want to do what you want to do. So if you can protect yourself, why are you complaining about not being protected?
Right.
And then when men are protecting you, you don't listen. And you want to do your own thing. And then when you end up in a situation, now it's black men don't protect me.
And
No, you
another
gotta,
problem too is black women, yes, and all these dudes with the wigs on and the nails on, big and up in them, like promoting this lifestyle. I personally have an issue with that. You're not going to see Saucy Santana twerking on my timeline. Like,
Thank
I'm
you.
just not doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, sister. That's the same mentality that my wife has. And I appreciate that when women are able to speak so clearly and so freely in that way, who understand their femininity and understand the importance of masculinity and what that means when you bring those two powers together as complementarity. Thank you for that.
Now, I need to get your thoughts. Have you seen the movie The Woman King? If
No,
so,
and I'm not.
Okay.
No. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I'm not.
Okay.
This is why I'm not going to see it. Because I understand the programming, so I don't need to see it. You understand? I can already tell you what's going to happen with Black Panther 2, just like I already said what would happen with Woman King. When you understand the different aspects of programming and how they are implemented, you don't have to see the movie. You're just waiting to see it happen because you understand the programming. That's just what it is. Now, let's go back. Django. I saw Django for one reason. Because a lot of our respected scholars, can you cuss on here?
Yeah, do your thing.
Oh, man. Okay. But anyway, a lot of the well-respected scholars get caught up in, and this is with all due respect, get caught up in the movie romanticism. So they get emotionally entrapped in what's going on, as opposed to understanding and being clear. This is a massive program that's taking place here. This is a ritual. That's what's taking place right now. It's a ritual. I'm not being part of the ritual. You understand? I'm not being part of the ritual. Any women that responded, now I talked about not the movie itself, meaning seeing it. I talked about the context of the programming that movie and other movies have. Just me already understanding the context of the movie. I already know what it is. Black woman hero archetype. Sisters about to lose their minds. I already know that. I'm already clear on how it operates. So Django, only reason I saw that movie is because I felt that there needed to be certain context from a standpoint of that movie. Certain things needed to be dealt with that our scholars wasn't dealing with. I mean, from a standpoint of articles that were written. I'm not talking about what some of the scholars may have been talking about, like this type of a situation or something. Obviously, people like, Black Dot and all of them, they know what's going on, obviously. Those are master decoders. So I felt it was necessary, and that article got published.
Okay.
And it ruffled feathers, and that's okay. But many of those same scholars are still going through the movie romanticism. So it doesn't matter how much you know, how many books you've read, as we've already mentioned. It doesn't matter if you don't understand the program, and I can see it a mile away. Period. I don't have to see the movie. I'm already knowing what it is just from what was written before the movie came out. It was already clear. Oh, okay. This is what's going to happen. This is how women are going to respond because it's about triggering trauma. This is how women are going to respond because it's going to be brothers that's going to have a problem with the title. This is how women are going to respond. It's going to be brothers who talk about it's a feminist archetype. The women about to lose their mind because they in the hero archetype. They get into the character and the emotion of it, as opposed to critically, analytically being able to deal with the movie and what the movie really is. So what's happening to their subconscious mind? What's happening to their central nervous system? What's happening to their brain? Most people don't understand. When you watch a movie, the movie actually is in your brain. That's where it's taking place, not on the screen. People don't understand this. There is a process that's taking place in your brain, in your central nervous system, and they're triggering those things based on what's happening in the movie.
Wow.
I know that. That's why I'm not going to see the movie. I'm not anyone else who sees it. I'm not faulting them. That's fine. I'm just saying why I'm not seeing it. Now, that doesn't mean that one day I may not see it, because there may need to be some type of analysis that I haven't seen yet. Then I'll feel like that analysis needs to come out to make it more of a whole analysis or perspective, as I did Django.
I think it's important for brothers like yourself to do just that. A couple things I want to say, touch on what you just said, because you talked about earlier how we're the archetype for all the technology. And then you just mentioned how when you're watching the movie is actually in your head. And I'm thinking about the technology of the projector, and the projection screen is mimicking like what takes place in the mind with our imagination and with our memory system. You know what I'm saying? So they mimic that to create the movie theater experience in the first place.
Correct.
But also, a lot of us were surprised and a little bit shocked to see that our brother Anthony Browder actually had a positive review on the movie and was bigging up the Woman King movie, because I also look at him as a master decoder as well. I've seen him break down other movies and films and talk about the program and the science behind the imagery and the messaging and all of that too. And so that's why I said I think it's interesting for brothers like yourself to actually, take a look at the movie for that purpose. You know what I'm saying? To give us a thorough breakdown and understanding of what it is that we're seeing take place. And I'm interested to hear if Anthony Browder is going to do something like that, because I was surprised to hear him say, "Yo, this movie made me love Africa and African women even more." It was something like that. That's what he
called it cinematic reparations.
Cinematic reparations.
I respectfully disagree, because just the name, I was like, okay, toxic femininity. That's what this is going to be, a movie straight up toxic femininity. Like they love to talk about toxic masculinity. We're going to talk about the toxic femininity too. That movie is a part of it. This is why women are walking around here now talking about I'm strong and I don't need no man, until they need a man, until they need protection, or like you said, until they need that couch brought upstairs. You know what I'm saying? Into the house. Like I just have no desire to see it personally.
Yeah. So y'all remember Barack Obama, first presidency, running for president.
Yep.
We found out at that time that many of the scholars that we hold dear to our heart, and we may still hold them dear to our heart, we understand that they just think differently in certain ways. So what that means is we just have to pick up that torch and keep it moving and keep running and keep doing what we're doing. I'm grassroots. So I don't care how anyone thinks in regards to what I think. Those things matter. I intentionally don't have degrees behind my name, because those things don't matter to me. And no institution controls what I say. No institution controls how I write. No institution controls how I speak. No institution controls the publishing and copyrights of my books and things of that nature, the editing of my books. I control that. I think sometimes we need to pay attention to that. Some people fear Jewish onslaught. I don't. I've been attacked.
Tony Martin.
So it's different things going on in different people. There's scholarship, and then there's warrior scholarship. And we got to be clear the difference between the two. And there's nothing wrong with scholarship, because scholarship may be very necessary, right? Just because a scholar may come out with certain information that we don't agree with doesn't mean that that information may not be pertinent to us as a teaching tool. You understand? For wisdom. And I mentioned Barack Obama for a reason. It was a lot of scholars who was, they thought, quote unquote, Jesus came. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. So
they bought it. They bought into the program.
Yes, they bought into it. So everything that they had taught for decades, because they see a man who looks like them,
emotional reaction.
Boom. Everybody's up in their emotions, into the romanticism.
Me too. I was one of them, especially that first go round. I voted for his ass.
But again, teaching tools, we learn from it. You see what I'm saying? So some of these are our most heralded scholars. Now I'm not going to say names because I'm not about doing that. I'm only saying names when I'm uplifting people. All right. That's how I do it. But there were scholars who we honor, we consider legends. They dropped the ball on that one. We picked it up. So instead of spending so much time devaluing them, it was time for us to stand up and be more outspoken about what we understood the truth is. You understand what I'm saying? And what's really happening? The submersive programming, the covert, overt programming, Manchurian candidates and charismatics and things of that nature. We understood it. It was clear to us, right? And we, you know, we had a group of scholars that was helping to push certain scholarship to certain scholars who were doing debates and things of that nature with these particular scholars, because it was necessary to see what it is that we're dealing with. Again, when the pressure comes and things of that nature come, you never know. You never know how people really live their lives and what they really think. For some people, and I'm not talking about Anthony Broder, I'm talking in general. Mm-hmm. And some people, you know, this is entertainment. This is a hustle. This is not how they live. This is not their life. This is my life. You understand? Of course, I do other things, but I'm saying, like, people go to work every day, whatever it is that they do. This is what I do. I consult people every day. I deal with knowledge and application of knowledge every day. That's what I do. So for me, listen, man, if we're going to deal with truth, let's deal with truth. We can't pick and choose. Everybody's not about that path. Some people will assist us to get there, and then you got to keep going. Sometimes that's how it works, and that's okay. That's why I'm saying, so I uplift those who should be uplifted. Those who may be Sambos and things of that nature, I just leave them over there. Don't worry, as long as they don't get in my way.
Right. We
don't have a problem. Just stay out of my way. We good. I'm doing what I'm doing because I know what that vision is, what that mission is. I'm this way. All of that. That's why you never see me in mess. That's why in certain shows, you will never see me on, even though I've gotten invites. People wanted me to go on certain shows, these huge platforms. I have my own plan, my own vision. For me, it's not about the popularity and all of those things. Again, for me, one by one, I'm duplicating me. Mm-hmm. You understand? I'm duplicating that warriorship. I'm duplicating that commitment, that consistency, that dedication. I'm having me duplicated, which means Kwesi is being duplicated. Which means Coakley is being duplicated. Amiri Baraka is being duplicated. And none of us are perfect, let's be clear. But when you start taking bits and pieces from all of us, what you think being created? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed.
That's what it is, man.
Man, listen, man. Unfortunately, man, we got to start winding this thing down.
I love y'all, man. Anytime, bro.
Listen,
I love y'all.
I was going to say, man, I don't know what your schedule is like, man. I would like to have you be a friend to the show and get you on periodically, man. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate the wisdom, the scholarship, you know what I mean, and your energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know,
Very honest
I see you
energy.
I see you as a great resource, man. The platform is open to you anytime that you would like to come back, and we're definitely going to be reaching back to try to get you on some further episodes. Our Sunday show is a little bit different. I think that would be a good space for you as well. So, you know what I mean? Thank you for coming through, man. We appreciate your time. We just got a couple of more questions to ask you before we let you go, though, man.
Okay.
We're going to end it in Godcast fashion.
Right.
What does freedom and power mean to you?
Freedom and power, what it means to me is however I choose to define it. That's what it means to me. Power is me having the ability to do whatever it is I desire to do, how I desire to do it. That's what freedom and power is to me. This is why I move the way I move also. But yeah, that's what freedom and power is to me, the ability to do things the way I choose to desire to do it, whatever that means, whatever the consequences are, none of that matters to me. When you're dealing with freedom and power, it bet not matter to you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, man. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in live, man. Everybody that's watching this on the replay, we appreciate y'all. Make sure that y'all hit the like button. Make sure that y'all share this out on your social media platforms. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching us on another platform, just go on over to YouTube, type in Sincere Love to God, hit the subscribe button, and click the notification bell so you could be reminded whenever we go live with new episodes. This is the Black Business Showcase. We do this every Wednesday and Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time.
Yes.
We have conversations just like this, man, with different entrepreneurs, business owners, great minds, etc. And on Sundays, master teachers. And on Sundays, you can check us out 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time for our regular broadcast where we cover current events and deal with important topics pertaining to issues in the Black society. And yeah, man. Anything else we got to announce before we get out of here, Nicely?
No announcements today. I'll save it for Sunday.
Okay, so one last thing for our brother. I got to put you on the Summer Jam screen real quick.
Okay.
And now you have the microphone. The entire Black community can hear what it is that you have to say. What parting words would you like to leave us with tonight?
Let's love each other. Let's heal. Let's love each other better and let's heal. Those are my words. I'm here to assist us to do that. As far as healing and loving each other, that's what I'm here for. That's my purpose. That's my journey, is to assist us to heal and to love ourselves.
Very simple. Sometimes less is more, man. It's not complicated.
Absolutely. That's what a mastery is, in simplicity.
Right.
Right. And so make sure y'all following our brother. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nicely.
I was going to say we love you back, and we love everyone in the chat, everyone that tuned in tonight, everyone that subscribed, all the new subscribers, all the old subscribers. We love you guys, and thank you for tuning in tonight. And we do appreciate you. I learned a lot today. I got full off the energy today, and definitely appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you as well. Again, anytime. Appreciate what you're doing out here, brother. And I know how you get down on that MC. I know.
Okay.
Keep doing your thing, brother, for sure. And y'all, this is a good balance here. And I knew when we first started talking about doing the show, that's the first thing I noticed. I'm like, okay, balance. I love it. Keep doing y'all thing. And as they said, if I have people in the chat, continue to support them, support this show, support what they're doing. So now they are your family as well, both ways. All right.
Hey, cousins.
That's
Appreciate
right.
Appreciate that. For sure. And make sure y'all following our brother, man, at Sadiki Bakari on Instagram. Is it Sadiki Bakari on Facebook as well?
Absolutely.
Sadiki Bakari on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I just found you on Twitter today.
I don't be on Twitter, man. If you go on Twitter, I might not talk to you for 2 months. I don't yeah, so don't even worry about Twitter. Facebook, Instagram, email me, SadikiBakari@hotmail.com.
SadikiBakari@hotmail.com. And that's how you can get the books and all of that stuff.
All
too.
of that.
Again,
absolutely.
Shout out to wifey, fuckfear.com.
Yeah.
Fear with the number 3.
Yeah.
Support that sister as well, man. And again, we love to have you back anytime, man.
Let's have her on. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
First of all, you took the
have
words
her
out
on.
of my mouth.
Matter of fact,
say nicely.
Let's get
Let's have
it.
her on.
You know what? I'll email
Right.
The schedule.
Right. Let's do that ASAP. Get her on the
Absolutely.
schedule.
Appreciate that. Most definitely.
All right, coming soon. And so with that being said, family, always remember, we are not the master teachers, but we are blessed to have a master teacher tonight.
Oh, thank you.
And so
man. I appreciate
we
it.
are the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. We'll see y'all on Sunday. Peace and Black love.
Most resilient, we poster children of prophecy fulfillment. We gotta be God's children.